and the omnibus, so I was forced into the Archers when I was a child. And look, it's come back to bite me later on.
I'm awash with the stuff.
The Archers is the world's longest-running radio show, with more than 15,000 episodes broadcast. Despite being a rural flavour show, The Archers is recorded in the heart of the UK's second-largest city.
Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Hello.
So our source material today, it's an audio excerpt. It kind of drops us right into the thick of things in Ambridge.
Yeah, think of it like tuning into a very specific moment, a snapshot of village life. You get these shifts in mood, some unexpected news.
And definitely some plans going a bit sideways.
Right. Plans going awry is a good way to put it.
So our mission here is to unpack the key moments from this snapshot. We're digging for those nuggets of insight, things hidden in the everyday chat.
Exactly. Finding what's really important, what kind of reveals something deeper within this slice of life they've given us.
Okay then, let's get into it. Right, so we kick off with a pretty big shift actually in David. The source says he's a different man. Apparently after a good chat with Ruth, his wife, he's now over it all. Which is, well, a total turnaround from him being in terror before.
That is a remarkable shift, and it really underscores the power of, a supportive relationship. Ruth's line about it, that's what wives are for. It doesn't feel like just a throwaway comment. It suggests she actively helped him through something pretty tough.
And David himself, he really wants to draw a line under the whole thing.
Yeah, emphatically.
Tells you whatever it was heavy. He needs closure on that period.
Definitely. And what's interesting is how this really personal moment is happening against the backdrop of, farm life, practical stuff, slightly chaotic stuff.
Yeah, getting ready for Open Farm Sunday.
Right.
And the source nails that feeling, doesn't it? That pre-event scramble. Someone says rounding up cows is easier than people.
Yes, so true. Plus you've got the everyday bits, Mom shouting for Leonard, Ben's gone missing somewhere.
Just that real human element mixed in with the farm tasks. But then, right in the middle of all this bustle,
something significant comes up.
Yes. Ruth asks David to read Peggy's eulogy at the funeral.
And bam, that just brings in this whole different, much heavier emotional layer to everything else that's going on.
And speaking of Peggy, there's this brief moment, kind of speculative, about her finances after her death.
Right. Yeah, they toss around ideas like maybe she just spent it, or perhaps she didn't have as much as everyone imagined.
It's natural people wonder that, isn't it, when someone passes? The estate.
It is. But the conversation moves past it pretty quickly, and they land on this simple point. It was her money to spend.
Yeah.
And that feels like the real takeaway there, recognizing her autonomy, her right to do what she wanted with her own money.
And tied into that, there's this very fleeting thought David has, like a what if? What if they sold the farm, became rich?
But he just shuts that right down, instantly. And this, I think, is key about identity. For David, being rich, it's not about the cash from selling up. His wealth, his value, it's tied to the land, to farming.
He says it's in my DNA.
Exactly, like a stick of rock with farming running through you. It just shows how deep that connection is, how much his work defines who he is.
Okay, so shifting gears a bit now. We move from those reflections and farm realities to more of a party buzz, anticipation. Chris and Alice arrive.
And the energy definitely changes. You get that classic pre-party small talk, don't you? Comparing salads.
Discussing the playlist, full of absolute bangers, apparently.
It's a very specific, lighter mood.
And there's that detail, I found this really relatable, about Martha's sleepover and the jam and sticker-covered t-shirt.
Oh, yes. Alice has that little moment of parental worry.
Which Chris just smooths over, saying his mum will sort it.
It's a perfect little touch. Shows that even with a big event planned, real family life is still ticking along right there.
And the big event is Harrison's 40th birthday party. A surprise party.
The surprise party. That instantly adds this whole layer of, nerves and potential for things to go wrong.
Totally. They talk about hiding, shouting surprise, the worry about the balloons giving it away.
Balloons, always the weak point in a surprise operation. But the gift sounds good, a karaoke machine he always wanted.
Tells you a bit about Harrison, maybe. And the kind of fun they're aiming for.
Meanwhile, just weaving back to the farm stuff for a sec, David has another moment that shows he's kind of getting back on track.
Yeah. He checks the diary, Finds out the shearers were booked for next week after all.
Exactly. It's a small thing, but you can almost feel the relief in the source material, that sense of something clicking back into place, getting on top of things.
Back in the game, as the source puts it. And knowing Ed and Josh will help, it feels like things are being handled.
Practicality sorted. And alongside that, the party prep continues. You know, putting crisps in bowls, olives, carrying stuff to the garden table.
That's in nuts and bolts.
And then you get this really interesting observation from Fallon. She's watching Chris and Alice, how they're talking amidst all the prep.
And she notices they use the word fine a lot.
Quite a lot, yeah.
Okay, that jumps out. Using fine repeatedly.
Yeah.
It could be a bit of a flag, can't it? I mean, it's a fine short.
Or it could be masking something else. Distractions, stress, maybe underlying issues they're not really talking about.
So what does that tell us, maybe, about communication when you're busy or stressed?
Well, it prompts you, the listener, to look a bit deeper, doesn't it? It's such a common thing. People do default to fine when you're preoccupied, or maybe avoiding a bigger chat, especially mid-party prep. It just raises that question. What are they really feeling?
Yeah. And amidst all this, we get introduced to Helen's new, acquaintance, Dane.
Right, and there's that uncertainty about the relationship. Not sure he's a fella, is the phrase used. Only their second date.
Captures that early stage ambiguity, doesn't it?
It does, but the source says he seems to be getting on okay with Fallon and Natasha, so that's a positive sign, whatever the relationship status might be.
And Natasha and Tom are invited too. There's a comment about their grandmother being very savvy. Which might connect back to other things happening in Ambridge. Maybe plans around Peggy's passing, funeral catering, that sort of thing. Could be. And there's also that mention of a potential family holiday with Gran's money.
Ah, yes. Followed immediately by that wonderfully relatable, slightly tense prediction.
It'll either bring us all together or half kill each other.
Classic family holiday outlook. Perfectly captures that blend of hope and slight dread.
So all these different threads, they kind of lead us back to this really powerful, quite emotional moment. Ruth asking David to read Peggy's eulogy aloud for feedback.
Yeah, this feels like the emotional core of this particular snapshot. Ruth talks about meeting Peggy way back 1957.
When Ruth was the outsider, new to it all.
Right, unfamiliar with rural life. And Peggy, her sister-in-law, was the one who genuinely welcomed her in.
An incredible friendship. 68 years.
Amazing. And the eulogy, it describes Peggy as, well, real, not sanitized, frank and honest, someone who didn't hold back, who shot from the hip.
And this is crucial that frankness came from the heart. Her kindness really shines through, especially with the detail about nursing her husband, Jack, through Alzheimer's.
That's incredibly moving. And the eulogy has such a perfect, poignant detail. Their last meeting at the bowl.
Sharing sherries. Peggy dry, Ruth sweet.
And using that simple image to capture Peggy's character.
Yes, that she was dry and also very sweet. It's just brilliant. Using a small, specific detail to paint such a rich picture of someone complex.
David's reaction says it all, really. Just perfect. And Ruth feels satisfied knowing he'll read it. She anticipates it'll be quite a funeral, lots of people. It feels like this moment of connection, of preparing properly to say goodbye.
And David's little gesture afterwards, joining them for a sherry.
And choosing dry, like Peggy.
Yeah, it feels like a quiet tribute. And another sign he's really present, recovered, back in the moment.
So, building on that party anticipation we talked about, the tension starts to creep up because Harrison is late.
Right, Fallon's using a location finder app.
And she notices he's just not moving.
That immediate worry sets in, doesn't it? Is it just traffic or something else?
And then the news drops. Just completely deflates everything. Harrison isn't coming to the party.
Oh no.
The reason, a development with the case he's working on, had to turn back.
Wow. That's such a stark example of how professional life can just crash into personal plans.
Yeah.
Celebrations.
You can just feel Fallon's devastation. Can't believe it. What am I gonna do? And that heartbreaking question.
How can I have a 40th birthday party for Harrison without Harrison?
It's the shock, isn't it? Having this whole thing, this surprise, just completely derailed by something totally external.
And there's that difficult little exchange, too, about whether they should have told him about the party.
Yeah, concluding it would just made him feel even worse knowing he was missing his own surprise party.
Which just adds another layer of awfulness to the whole disappointment, really.
Yeah.
So this snapshot, it's really taken us on quite a journey, hasn't it? From David's personal recovery, the farm work, the party buzz,
To that deeply emotional moment with the eulogy.
only to end with this sudden, really sharp disappointment about Harrison.
It's such a vivid illustration of how life just mixes everything up. The mundane, the deeply personal, the happy, the unexpectedly tough, often all at the same time.
And it really brings home how plans, even the best ones, the surprise ones,
Yeah.
that they can just change in an instant. Forces outside your control.
Which raises an interesting question for you listening. How do we navigate those moments when you're meant to be celebrating or mourning and the key people aren't there or things just don't go as expected?
Yeah, what does it mean to adapt when the whole point of the plan suddenly disappears?
And maybe a final thought to leave you with. That ability to bounce back, whether it's from personal terror like David faced or a dash surprise like Fallon's, it's constantly being tested, isn't it? By life's unpredictable rhythm.
You're always left figuring out, well, what comes next?
So, what are you doing now?
Just getting ready for the next episode. Just
And,
moving mics around again.
So, what do you do?
I do the spot effects on the archers.
Are you what we call Foley then?
Kind of. Yep. That's,
Okay. And these are all part of the paraphernalia production.
yep, that's the ball bar.
This one.
Babies so wanted to be in their own place when their baby came. It's due in 2 months. Not much chance of that now. I mean, it would have been a stretch for him financially, mind, but I just wish there was something practical I could do to help him get on.
I think The Archers has had this immense popularity over the years, basically because it has always very accurately reflected the reality of life and living in a rural community, at whatever